Sometimes a road doesn't just shorten the distance between two cities.
Baku-Tbilisi-Kars.
The Baku-Tbilisi-Kars Railway is a historic project, a project of strategic importance.
Sometimes a road changes the course of history.
Proje siyasi olarak.
The project will bring peace, security, and stability from a political perspective and prosperity from a social perspective.
And so in the shadow of the Silk Road, a new steel artery was laid.
Bizim güçlü irademiz olan yerde
Where there is strong will, mutual support, and trust in one another, anything is possible.
bütün işleri görme mümkündür.
A route stretching from China to Europe, from the Caspian to Kars, from the mountains of Tbilisi to the heart of Türkiye.
Bu proje zahmetle.
This project is truly significant because it was brought to life through hard work, dedication, and perseverance.
The Baku-Tbilisi-Kars Railway, not just a transportation project, but a junction where politics, engineering, and resolve converge.
Bazı harici daireler
Many foreign actors didn't believe this railway would be built, but we proved that our technical and financial capabilities are sufficient.
Now the world looks eastward to a line that once seemed impossible. Starting from the 2nd century BCE, trade between China and Europe was carried out primarily through overland caravan routes. These pathways would later become known as the Silk Road, a vast network stretching thousands of kilometers, linking Asia and Europe through both economic and cultural exchange. Transported mainly by camel caravans, the goods included silk, spices, paper, and other precious commodities. However, beginning in the 16th century, the growing dominance of European maritime powers and a wave of new geographic discoveries gradually diminished the importance of these overland routes. Sea transport became faster and more cost-effective, while caravan trade was increasingly viewed as slow and hazardous. By the 20th century, cargo movement between Asia and Europe was primarily conducted through the Russian-dominated northern corridors, the Trans-Siberian, Trans-Manchurian, and Trans-Mongolian routes. For decades, these northern lines formed the backbone of intercontinental freight transport. The collapse of the Soviet Union disrupted railway links across the region. Emerging borders and instability led to the breakdown of once connected transport networks. Growing demand for east-west connectivity led to an international conference in Baku focused on reviving and developing the historic Silk Road. The southern corridor via Iran was activated. Yet by the mid-2000s, the need for faster and more efficient alternatives became evident. At the time, cargo transport via the southern corridor took roughly 25-30 days, while the northern corridor, through Russia, averaged 16-22 days. November 14, 2004, during a ministerial conference in Baku, Türkiye, Georgia, and Azerbaijan signed a joint declaration focused on strategic regional infrastructure. This momentum gave rise to what would soon be known as the Middle Corridor Vision. In Tbilisi, the presidents and prime ministers of Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Türkiye signed the landmark trilateral agreement to construct the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars Railway, a strategic link reconnecting East and West. Today, the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars Railway is no longer just a railway. It has evolved into a broader strategic vision. For Türkiye, it means direct access to Central Asia. For Azerbaijan, a step toward becoming a regional hub. And for Georgia, an integrated transit corridor linking East and West.
Baku-Tbilisi-Kars project emerged early 2000 as a result of the change of economic landscape of the trade between China and Europe. It was the days when the China's trade was boosting globally and the One Belt, One Road project was initiated. The initiation of One Road, One Belt project, it is required to shorten the trade time between China and Europe to have more secure, more stable road for the delivery of the goods.
Türkiye ve Azerbaycan bu projeyi birlikte ele aldılar ve birlikte gündeme getirdiler.
Turkey and Azerbaijan initiated this project together. The project aimed to revive the Iron Silk Road between the two countries. Historically, there was a Silk Road route that extended from China through Central Asia to Turkey and from there to Europe. The idea was to reactivate this route via rail and allow both brotherly countries to benefit from this corridor.
At the time of its conception, the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars railway was envisioned as a strategic link beginning on the Caspian shores of Azerbaijan, crossing through Georgia's capital Tbilisi and reaching eastern Turkey, ultimately connecting to European markets. The route was projected to be twice as fast as maritime transport and nearly half the cost of air freight. Back then, one of its main objectives was to shorten delivery times to just 12 to 15 days, a significant improvement in overland logistics between Asia and Europe.
My position as ambassador and my position as a person who reported to President of Georgia was why not Georgia can have the own connection, railway connection, because it was very important for the South Caucasus, including the marines, including the roads, to have also railway connection to the world. This opportunity, this option was very important. President Ilham Aliyev has taken a very serious decision. The Azerbaijan side is ready to finance this project, and then every other questions were clear and we started to do it.
I think for Georgia, our regional partnerships have been always pivotal. And when it comes to our neighbors like Azerbaijan, it has always been even more than just the strategic alliance. It has been two brotherly nations having very close relationships. We've had too many examples when helping each other and being with each other when it comes to building this partnership has been pivotal for even survival of our nations.
Every project begins with an idea, but some must push beyond that idea and overcome resistance. A vision alone wasn't enough. This railway had to defy not just nature, but also power. Behind the steel and stone lies a political story, one of resistance, negotiation, and insistence.
Biz bu layihəni icra etmək istəyəndə böyük müqavimətlə üzləşmişdik.
When we decided to carry out this project, we faced strong opposition. At that time, the US exerted serious pressure on the Georgian leadership to prevent them from approving it. We spent several years negotiating with the Georgian side and eventually reached an agreement.
Razılığa gələ bildik və o cümlədən mən şəxsən
I also personally discussed this issue multiple 5E times with high-ranking US officials, stressing that they should not obstruct us. This is a strategic project for us, and in the future, other countries, including their allies, would benefit from it. Life has shown that, as always, we were right.
Onların müttəfiqləri də faydalanacaq. Və həyat göstərdi ki, hər zaman olduğu kimi biz haqlıydıq.
And while the political map was being redrawn behind closed doors, the physical line had to be drawn across mountains, borders, and obstacles.
Gürcistan'ın kafası biraz karışıktı. Çünkü bir taraftan Rusya var, bir taraftan Amerika var.
Georgia had its doubts due to the pressures from Russia and the US, and the fact that the Armenian railway remains closed. Iran was also not pleased, since the route bypasses it. So, getting the project done despite these geopolitical balances was a diplomatic success.
Aynı zamanda bir diplomatik başarıydı.
But diplomacy wasn't the only obstacle. The landscape itself demanded engineering beyond routine, especially in Georgia's highlands, where winter can stop everything except ambition.
Tabii ki parkur çok zor bir parkurdu, dağlık bir parkur.
Of course, the route was very challenging, a mountainous one. Especially the transition zones on both the Georgian and Turkish sides were particularly difficult.
And in those mountains, temperature was only the beginning. Beneath the snow came the problem of infrastructure.
We can assume that during the implementation of these projects we had different kind of problems. If we will group these problems, so first of all is the infrastructure was a big challenge.
When we talk about the infrastructure, we mean the building up the terminals, as in Halkalaki, for instance, or on the territories of the other country participants.
The complex topography and severe climate conditions. For example, as an alpine zone in Halkalaki and Garzakhi, the temperature falls below -30 degrees Celsius in winter.
Despite all the challenges, the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars railway, spanning a total of 846 kilometers, with 504 kilometers in Azerbaijan, 263 in Georgia, and 79 in Türkiye, was officially inaugurated on October 30, 2017.
The railway is a lifeblood of country's economy. Today, however, this lifeline serves not just one country but an entire region. The cargo unloaded from ships in here, the port of Baku, is transferred to Baku-Tbilisi-Kars railway tracks in just few hours. From here, the road to Europe is now more reliable and shorter.
By 2024, the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars railway was no longer just a transport link. It had become a smart corridor. With upgraded terminals, electrified sections, and a five-fold increase in capacity, the line emerged as a key digital artery of Eurasia. That same year, total cargo transported through the central corridor reached nearly 8 million tons. Of that, 45.2% moved by rail.
Since 2024, the cargo volume on the middle corridor has been essentially increased. As per the statistics, we can mention 358 block trains dispatched from China that has been delivered over the middle corridor. Among these block trains, we have almost half of this volume, which is has been the transit cargo passing through Azerbaijan toward the Georgian Black Sea ports, and another half has been the import of the country of Azerbaijan. Of course, within the frame of these cargo volumes, Baku-Tbilisi-Kars route has played one of the essential roles.
With digital tracking systems and real-time customs integration, the BTK became more than a railway, a corridor where cargo is visible, secure, and predictable.
We cooperate with Georgian partners, we cooperate with the Turkey. We already started cooperations with our partner China, where all goods are sourced. So we are initiating project with them, and we are about to establishment of the control tower, where we will be able to monitor and see how the all goods passing via these countries by having a very up-to-date track and trace system.
Speaking of efficiency, by the end of 2022, the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars railway project was re-evaluated with the goal of expanding capacity and completing remaining works. A revised project plan was drawn up, and in 2023, operations were temporarily suspended to allow for large-scale modernization.
Baku-Tbilisi-Kars layihəsi ümumiyyətcə 5 mərhələni əhatə eləyir.
The Baku-Tbilisi-Kars railway was developed in 5 phases. The first 3 from Marabda to Akalkalaki were completed between 2023 and early 2025. The 4th phase, Akalkalaki to Kars, is fully completed and includes a 40-70-meter tunnel at the Turkish border. All planned works across the phases have now been finalized.
The construction of Marabda-Akalkalaki railway section was performed on 35 per mil slope. The majority of railway sections are approved for operation and the remaining works are in the final phase. According to the project, the European standard gauge track is laid from Akalkalaki station in direction to Republic of Turkey. Salka-Akalkalaki railway section includes 4 corrugated snow protection galleries with a total length of 2,435 meters. Assembly of which is much more time efficient than construction of reinforced concrete tunnels.
By May 2024, major reconstruction and rehabilitation works along the Georgian segment of the BTK corridor were fully completed. With the resumption of freight services on May 20th, the total volume of cargo transported since the railway's inauguration reached 1.63 million tons.
After the renovation and reconstruction that has been taking place during 23 and 24, Azerbaijan Railway Administration and the government of Azerbaijan has been able to increase the capacity of the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars, the cargo volume capacity from 1 million to 5 million tons. That opportunity gave us the chance to increase the transit cargo volumes.
We are here in Akalkalaki station in Georgia and you are seeing the process of cargo transferring, and also on the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars line, Akalkalaki stands out for its technical transition point. In here, the freight wagons switch between 2 different rail gauges, and these mechanisms connecting the European and Asian systems is a key condition for the uninterrupted operation of Middle Corridor.
One of the key points along the BTK railway is the Akalkalaki terminal, a strategic threshold where technical systems shift and connect.
Bildiğiniz kimi Avrupa'da 2 dəmir yolu xətti standartı istifadə olunur.
As you know, Europe uses 2 railway gauge standards. In the post-Soviet countries, the rail gauge is 1520 millimeter, whereas in Europe it is 1435 millimeter. Georgia and Azerbaijan both use 1520 millimeter gauge, which ends at Akalkalaki. From Akalkalaki to Kars, the 1435 millimeter European gauge is used. Thus, Akalkalaki was chosen as the main terminal point, as it serves as the transition hub between the 2 standards.
But as the line evolves, so must the commitment behind it.
I have to be a little bit maybe critical when it comes to how much Georgia now is contributing to the expansion of the scope of the projects like that. We have been a very reliable partner for a long time when it comes to the development of the projects like that. But I have to say that when it comes to the further expansion, there needs to be strategic vision and contribution when it comes to the expansion that could be matching the goals from our side as well.
Akalkalaki is not the final stop for cargo arriving from the east. It is the gateway to a new standard. From here, the railway continues European gauge tracks, heading toward Kars, the point where the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars line opens its door to Europe.
We started in Baku, crossed through Georgia, and now we are in Turkey. The freight train coming from the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars line is now just pulling into Kars station. This is where Turkey's rail journey along the Middle Corridor begins. And finally, from here, the cargo continues on the heading towards Europe.
Kars marks the transition point, where regional cargo links merge with the broader European network. What moves through here connects entire markets.
BTK hattında bu aktarma merkezi Gürcistan sınırları içerisindeki Alkelek bölgesinde yapıldı.
For the BTK line, this transfer hub was built in the Alkalkalaki region within Georgian territory. A major investment was made there, and it has been completed. Now, wagons from the countries I mentioned arrive at the Alkalkalaki station. Likewise, wagons from Türkiye also arrive there. Containers and cargo are transferred between the two sets of wagons placed side by side. This transfer is carried out using large cranes. Afterward, transportation continues in the respective directions.
Aktarma merkezi üzerinde aktarılarak yapılıyor.
Container transport is at the heart of this corridor. Once sealed, it travels with minimal restrictions. Fast, safe, efficient. Especially for time-sensitive goods, this system transforms regional trade. To match this efficiency, Türkiye is expanding capacity. From Sivas to Divriği, electrification and signaling works are underway. The goal, 15 million tons of annual freight, nearly triple today's figures.
Uzun vadede orta koridorla beraber BTK şu anda hissettiğimizin ötesinde daha değerli hale gelecek.
In my view, we are still at the starting line of the middle corridor. And as it develops, BTK will become even more important than we anticipate. But this will only be possible through proper infrastructure, logistics hubs, integration with other corridors like Zangezur, the Aras corridor, and other historic routes.
Angaje edilmesiyle bu mümkün olacak.
So, today, the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars railway is no longer just a railway. It has evolved into a broader strategic vision. For Türkiye, it means direct access to Central Asia. For Azerbaijan, a step toward becoming a regional hub. And for Georgia, an integrated transit corridor linking east and west.